Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where skincare is all about progression over perfection because perfection doesn't exist. Today I want to answer a few questions that I've seen lingering around in my comment section here on YouTube and on TikTok. So I'm going to do my skincare routine. Oh, what should I do? I just need my hair out my head. And I did a little TikTok about this and it did quite well. People were interested in it. So I want to talk about how skincare influencers in particular are able to test and trial so many products, as well as talk about sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. And this is how I approach the topic, how I approach doing my skincare routine and reviewing products, but knowing a lot of skincare influencers personally as well, I know that this is how they do it too. So like, how are we always testing something new while still keeping our skin intact, or like at least trying to? I mean, the comments I mentioned earlier, they're things like, you said you love this product, but you never mentioned it again. Was it just for a sponsorship? How can you test all these products, etc., etc.? All perfectly fair questions, because from the outside, it probably looks like we're just like piling on 10 different serums on our face daily, like some kind of like horrible science experiment, right? Without really knowing what we're doing. But I promise you, there is a system to it, and today I want to break that down and kind of the reality of what our skin actually goes through. So my first point, products are tested months before you see them most of the time. So most of the products that you are seeing now, or like I talked about in the video now, I probably bought 4 to 6 months ago and started trialing them that long ago too. And this is the same when it comes to skincare sponsorship too. Skincare brands often work way ahead of time, especially with influencers too. So if a new product launch is coming up, I usually get lab samples or PR samples way before they hit the shelves. Especially with sponsorships, actually, I've usually been testing them months beforehand, sometimes even longer. Glow Recipe in particular are very, very good at doing this. Shark, you know, the Cryo Glow LED therapy mask, they sent me the product months and months before, because you need this time. You need these, you need months and months to test most of these products. Well, not months and months, like a month for most of them, but things like LED therapy, you definitely need a couple months. Experiment are also amazing at sending out lab samples before the launch of their products. And that comes to the question of like, why I barely ever talk about sponsorships outside of the sponsorship. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not because I suddenly hate it or anything, it's because I have spent probably the best part of 2 months trialing their products. And once the sponsorship is done, I need to move on. My job is to review skincare. So whilst the sponsorship always looks like one sudden product use, like, oh my God, where did this product come from? Why is he suddenly talking about it? Then I never talk about it again, I just drop a single video. That's actually been a month or so of trialing their products, what I like, what I don't like, going back and forth about what I want to say about the product, what I don't want to say, negotiating their claims as well, what they claim the products do and what I think it does too, and coming to an agreement about what I think works, if that makes sense. So it's more than just dropping a product like, oh, I love this, and then slapping it on, then never doing it again. All the products I genuinely love get rotated out unless they become staples in my routine. And that being said as well, they've just paid me to talk about their product. I'm not then going to give them a load of free airtime. Especially if I want to work with them again, or especially if I have a rolling contract with this brand. Some brands give you like a year's contract, and I will mention their products outside of it because I am naturally testing it and still using it, but I'm not going to do a huge focus on that product because I'm getting money to talk about it. That's not to say that influencers aren't just lying about the product. We all know they are. We've discussed on this channel before that I've received briefs that give you a week to test the product. But when you see influencers saying, the new, for example, the new, not that Numbuzzing hasn't done this, but the new Numbuzzing Lifting Seal Essence is my new favorite product on launch day, it's not because they're lying. Well, some of them probably are, but it's because they've already been trying it for a long time, you know? But it's still up to them, the language that they use. They don't have to say it's their new favorite. Oh my God, which I actually really like it. But you know, there's still definitely some lying going on and manipulation. Like, we can't deny that. So of course we all know testing doesn't mean we're throwing everything onto our skin all at once. That would be a disaster. So instead, what I do when I'm testing new products is I keep my routine super, super simple. A basic cleanser, a basic hydrating toner, not even an essence, because I feel like an essence has way too many benefits versus just a plain hydrating toner. And then the product I'm actively testing, which is usually an active, right? I feel like those products that you have to test for a month plus is usually because they have so many different product claims and particular actives in. Like maybe the serum says it's hydrating, so I don't necessarily want to use a hydrating toner alongside it. etc, etc. Or I'm trying a cleanser or a moisturizer, you know, so it does chop and change. But this way, I know exactly what's causing any changes to the skin, good or bad. And after nearly a decade of doing this, I have a good idea of what ingredients my skin loves and what to avoid. So it does become easier and easier and easier. It's a pretty well-polished machine at the moment. Some products just don't work for me, and that's part of the process, and that's fine. I'll be honest, that very rarely happens now because I say no to a lot of things. Like if people are like, would you be interested in this product? I look at the ingredients or the type of product and I'm like, no. Like there are very few vitamin C's that slip through the net because they offer something a little bit more interesting that intrigues me. And yes, I do keep track of everything. I kind of have what I like to think are spreadsheets, but they're not really. They're more like columns because I don't know how to use spreadsheets. I make a lot of notes in my notes app, which is then organized into something a little bit clearer. And it's something I can always refer back to. Because you're testing so many things, there needs to be a way you can keep track of what worked and what didn't. I'll put little descriptions, how it felt, how it didn't feel. But I would share this. I want to turn it into like a website or like some kind of usable thing. But the thing is, it's very much my opinion and my experience with my very specific skin type. So it'll be a lot of work to, I don't know, I can't be bothered. I got a lot of other stuff to do. I would share it, but I've shared it before, maybe a year and a bit ago on my Instagram stories. And the problem is there's unreleased products on here. There's like lab samples, there's products that actually never got released. There's a lot of things like I have the Crave Beauty's first iteration of their cleansing balm, which actually never made it, is on here. Caroline Hyren's Skin Rocks, the first iteration of the eye cream, which came out 2 years later. I've got about 15, 16 lab samples or products that aren't released yet within this spreadsheet. So I don't want to I need to be careful. I've signed NDAs, but it's useful for me. It's something I can refer back to. I can also simply go onto YouTube and type in James Welsh Misha toner, Misha essence, and find my opinion on it. But I do still need to take into consideration things like how my skin has changed, so I might retry it, as well as any reformulations of the product. On that point, not every routine you see influencers do is their current skincare routine. Something people might not realize is that most products are props. For example, when I post a video about like a hydrating routine, that doesn't mean I'm personally using all those products right now and that this is my now personal skincare routine. I'm just showing you options, for example, of what you could use if you needed to hydrate your skin more, reach your hydration goals. For example, if I make a video about the best barrier repairing products, I'm not necessarily using all those products at once because my skin barrier is damaged. I'm just giving recommendations in a skincare routine so you can pick what stage of the routine you want that product in, if that makes sense. So next time you see a skincare influencer laying out like 10 different serums, just remember they probably aren't using them all at once. It's probably just a back catalog of what they've already used. And that's the thing about having this backlog of products is I can look at hydrating products and be like, oh, that will work in a routine, or that's a good product I'd like to recommend again. And this is how, you know, when we are testing products in the background, how we can still make skincare content by just doing a quick routine, or even pre-making content. You can make a month's worth of content ahead of time if you really need to. But having these prop products and just kind of like showing what they look like on the skin and how your skin looks after, and then your actual review of when you actually use them, it's kind of a combination of all of that, if that makes sense, rather than being like, this is what I'm doing now, this is why my skin looks like this. And that way you could also pick products that don't massively interfere with the products you're trialing in the background. It's difficult. There are slip-ups. There are times that it doesn't make sense. I'm like, shit, I just have to do this. And there are times when you're going to screw up your skin because you do like 3 skincare routines in a day because you have to film it along with a sponsorship you're doing. But with those sponsorships, it's important to just use those products in the day and not another one, if that makes sense. But for example, the Abib products I was testing recently, I had to reshoot that a couple times. So I use their products all day so you can actually see what it looks like on my skin. And then the next day I film my content. So if my skin was getting destroyed from doing too many skincare routines, it'll be the next day, not because of the products I was using from the sponsorship. So does testing all these products damage our skin? Short answer, yes. Yes, of course. It's kind of inevitable, right? At the end of the day, our job is to review products with the idea that you don't have to buy everything yourself. But unfortunately, it's kind of like not done that now. There's like this culture on TikTok of having to have everything. But yeah, that does mean we go through more barrier damage than the average person. And that's why you'll often see TikTokers being like, or YouTubers being like, I destroyed my skin barrier, here's how I'm fixing it. So often, because like more often than it needs be, more often than your barrier should be damaged, I should say, because of the constant trying of products. But over time, I do feel like you get to recognize what ingredients your skin loves and what to avoid. For me, that's always why I lean towards soothing and calming skincare products. I know people always tease me in the comments because I'm always like, this product is soothing and calming. This product is soothing and calming because I like soothing, calming products. Oh, Oh my God. So yeah, that's why like Astura Atto Barrier though is one of my favorite moisturizers, because I do just use it alongside things I'm testing. So my barrier is a bit more cared for, if that makes sense. And that's also why I started leaning more into commentary content. Obviously it does well online, but I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up anymore. I couldn't keep doing it to my skin. As my skin has matured, it's changed. It can't put up with a lot of shit that it used to. So it's definitely changed the way I talk about skincare and what I try and how much I'm trialing. So the commentary style videos gives me a really nice break in between. And yeah, it sounds a bit much and it sounds like really intense, but when it's your full-time job, when it's the only thing you do that makes you money, it is your life, you know, it becomes your life and you need structure to it. Brands also pay you well to test their products and talk about them. But there are also a lot of brands out there who will just want you to talk about their product from word of mouth. They don't really care what you do behind the scenes. But I will say, I don't know if it's just because it's me, but the majority of brands are very, very good at giving you time to test, feedback, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, testing skincare products isn't always as chaotic as it seems, but it's also not effortless at the same time. I think I'm a very well-oiled machine by now, to be honest with you, and doesn't feel like a lot of effort anymore because it's just what I do. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more insight into how influencers test skincare, review skincare, but also do bear in mind, as I talk about very openly on here, there are a lot of influencers who will just lie about product and say that they've been using it, which is lazy because we have so much fucking time to try stuff. But yes, any questions? I know this is kind of confusing. I feel like I left so much out of like my day to day of, well, month to month of how I do this. Do leave them in the comments down below. Any questions, sorry, leave them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer. And again, give you my personal opinion or experience, I should say. So yeah, hope that was enlightening in some way, even if you didn't care. I'll see you next time.